Welcome to episode 2 of the What the Sheep podcast. We have a exciting, to say the least, episode to talk about, it ending with a absolute bang. But we'll get to all that eventually. But welcome everyone. Welcome everyone in the chat. Welcome everyone watching at home on YouTube. Welcome everyone here on this podcast. I am definitely excited to break down this episode. What do you guys think?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Absolute chaos. So we'll get into all of the major stuff later. We'll just break down some of the minor, interesting stuff that happened along the way. Is there anything you guys want to open up with?
I'll just say I think it was a nice kind of introduction to the episode. Just going back to a pub, it felt very early campaign. Because we've kind of missed that a bit with, and I thought that last episode too, we've kind of missed the traveling on the road aspect now that they have teleport. Or
Yeah, that's true.
So I always loved the traveling episodes. So them just traveling or going to a pub and finding rooms for the night. That's like kind of classic D&D for me. So I love those experiences. So them just going to that dodgy old bar and harassing the old people there and then, splitting off into the creepy rooms. It's just, nice. Kind of nice nostalgia feeling for the early campaign.
No, I definitely agree. And to add to that whole tavern scene, it was clear that a few members of the party, specifically Not, sort of asked Bo, how she was and how she was feeling in the moment, and they had just left her estate. And she said that she was actually fine. She was actually better than she thought she was. I want to know what your guys' thoughts on that, but I feel like that's just her throwing up her walls again and not really wanting to talk about it too much. I feel like she's not fine, and we eventually saw that later in the episode. It looked like she wasn't very fine. But what do you guys think? Do you think she was actually being genuine in saying that she was actually better off than she thought she was, or do you think she was just lying and putting up those walls again?
Yeah, she probably doesn't even know how not fine she is, like the character. I think Marisha absolutely does, but yeah, Bo certainly. There's no way she. Yeah, nah. I agree. She's just putting up walls again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think she might I think maybe Marisha herself might have been waiting more for like a one-on-one conversation, maybe with Jester or I don't know, maybe Caleb, because they've done those kind of role plays before. But no, I definitely agree. I think it was kind of like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Like let's get out of here, sort of thing. We've got a mission to do. Let's focus on that. And yeah, just kind of going back to that old school kind of Bo of no, let's not talk about it. Let's move on. And yeah, and when they get to the bar and the guy's like, oh, you look kind of familiar, and she's like, no, you don't know me, sort of thing. Yeah, just trying to avoid any kind of confrontation in that scene. But yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like that bit. It's like, you look familiar. Nah. Oh, okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
Move along.
But I was watching Marisha a lot through the episode because there were things going on around her that she wasn't always involved in. Like the entire last scene, she got obviously a different answer than she was expecting from this lady, not wanting to spoil it for anybody, than she was expecting. So that was transferring forwards into the next scene, but she wasn't entirely nobody was really picking up on that trauma that she was experiencing. So it was like an undulating sine wave. She's fine one minute and they kind of leave her alone, and then they come back to her and she's a bit scrambled in the head, and it's like, what's going on? And then she's fine. And it's very dramatic, traumatic role play. And you kind of feel for the person and the character at the same time. It's like, somebody needs to address this. This is a problem. It's going to get worse. If you don't do it now, it's going to blow up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens.
Yeah, and she's had 2 rough sessions in a row now. But yeah, no, it's such good role play. So good to watch. So lucky we get to watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Laura fucking Bailey. Wow.
yeah, and we'll
Let's do it.
and that is a whole thing to unpack, which we'll definitely get to.
Yeah, we all just have to sit on that for the next little while and talk about other things that happen.
Yeah.
And then,
But I know we have to. It's the dessert. It's the dessert for after the meal. But then after, you know, they had their nice little night, there was cute little banter between Jester and Ford as they went to like scout like the outhouse or whatever.
What about that?
Why did they do that? I missed that. It's like, what?
I don't know. That was so
Well,
random.
It's because they worked out that Bo, like, that was Bo's old haunt. So they were basically like, Ford was, I think the mental process seemed to be, like, how do I find out the history of this place so I can get information, like, background information on Bo's sort of adolescence. And he was like, I'm going to check the history stacks. That's probably just like people writing like crap on the walls in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so and then it got real silly. But that was, I think, the process of like, how do I find out information? Oh, maybe it says like, you know,
call this number for a good time. Bo.
Yeah. Leading straight to Bo. Oh man.
I liked when Jester said, "Why is this everything in this tavern about poop?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it kept coming back to that.
Yeah.
Even the bartender was bringing it back to that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, they got some shady stuff going on there, involving bowels and such.
Like I said, it's a crappy place. Like Komoda itself
Yeah.
sounds like a crappy place.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever the party sleeps and there's like a confirmation that they're having a night's rest and stuff, I'm always like anxious and waiting for Matt to say like, Travis, you have a dream, or something like Ford has a dream, or
this episode. I feel like, I don't know if it's just the way Matt brought it up. I was like, is he going to be like, Ford?
Yeah.
I'm
waiting for every time. It's because it's gonna happen because the Wild Mother is obviously now protecting Ford to a certain extent, but who knows when Uk'otoa will like break through a little bit and throw Ford off. I'm just waiting for that moment. I think it'll probably happen once a lot of this like Bo-centric and not-centric story sort of winds down a bit. Then it might shift focus towards what Ford's going through, especially since it seems like they're going to be heading towards what Caduceus is working towards, which is also kind of what Ford's going to be working towards. So maybe it'll come up again because they'll be by the sea again for the negotiations and all that. So I'm wondering if good old Uk'otoa is going to be coming back soon. I don't know.
It's so exciting. Because, like, Melora herself, she's also a goddess of, like, the sea and the ocean, so it's such a nice parallel between the two of them. I just want to, like, I love that imagery way back when he was having the Uk'otoa dream and, like, Melora was, like, bursting through the eye. Like, I want to see that physically. I want to see, like, Melora actually come down and beat up the snake. Not going to happen, I know, but, you know. No, I'm super excited for that. I'm terrified, like, as soon as he steps his toe into the ocean, it's just going to, like, get dragged in or something.
Yeah, tentacle comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
There's definitely something going to happen. The fact that Matt has released his book, he admitted on Twitter a few days ago that the Traveller is in the book. So if Artigan is the Traveller, then
when I saw that tweet, I thought, I wonder if that's them, or not to suggest that they're moving the campaign forward faster than they need to, because I feel like Traveller Con is going to be in the next couple of episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like they want to get to Traveller Con before the book comes out, because perhaps the will reveal some spoilery information. Because it might have obviously links to Artigan or whoever the Traveller actually is. I mean, it's Artigan, but whoever the Traveller actually is.
And it definitely feels like, I don't mean to cut you off, but it definitely feels like Matt is trying to speed up at least the relationship with the Traveller and Jester and with the rest of the party. Because Jester has had interactions with the Traveller, with the party present, but the Traveller's never made himself like shown to the rest of the party until this episode, when she's casting Commune, and then the rest of the party can see the Traveller appear next to her. So it's clear that Matt's trying to speed it up a little bit, or at least trying to get the party thinking about who the Traveller is, But it does make sense narratively since TravelerCon is coming up. He's going to be playing a much important role within the next coming episodes. But I guess we can talk about that now. The Traveler finally revealing himself to the rest of the party. And then even the Traveler then acknowledging and like nodding to the rest of the party as he pointed off and did that. So it's kind of like a cheeky little thing that he's doing there.
It was definitely a bit that I rewound and watched like a bunch of times, trying to work out what happened with Travis and like Ford casting Divine Sense. I like watched it over and over again, just being like, what's the information that's being gotten here?
Mm-hmm.
Get out the player's handbook and like, oh god, I need to study this.
Yeah.
What is the Hallow spell?
Yeah.
So we all know that it's through process of elimination, either an elemental or a fae.
Yeah. An elemental doesn't really seem right.
No, it's not crackling with energy. It's not trying to eat the ball.
Yeah.
It fits so much. It all falls in line.
Was this the first time Jester cast Commune as well? Because I thought she might have done it before, like another time when Caduceus had done it as well, but...
Yes.
Was this the first time?
She has done it before. I remember the most recent time before this one was when it failed.
Okay.
Because she got the ice cream and stuff and tried like casting it or whatever, and then it didn't work. Or maybe it was a different spell. I can't remember. I think it was Commune.
I think that was just her talking to him. I'm not
maybe
sure
it
she
was. Maybe it was.
But, no, and I think they said in the episode, and I'd have to rewatch to remember, but they said that Bo has seen the travel before when they were in Asarius. Is that right?
I can't remember that
I
moment.
should have double checked. I didn't double check, but
yeah,
they said that Bo, when they were in the Knoll's house in Asarius, saw the traveler, saw like a glimpse of the traveler.
I missed that as well.
Yeah.
I remember that
but I just love the whole conversation between Not and Ford about, oh, he's so mysterious. Like, you lost all appeal once we knew everything about you. And then, like, Caleb has his shadow so mysterious. Look at him.
That's so good. I live for Ford and Not banter. It's so pure. It's so good.
I have a list because that's a video somebody asked to be made, and so I've been keeping a list of clips. Yeah. And I was like, immediately, like, I was like, oh my goodness. That's the silliest one I've heard, but I thought when I looked it up, I got it wrong because I thought I didn't understand what Hallow Sense and the Hallow spell and Divine Sense had to do with each other. So I thought they meant that like you could tell if that spell has been cast, but what you guys are saying is it's you can tell the same information of things that are affected by the Hallow spell.
That's protected by it. So you can detect if somebody is attempting to deceive you and their true nature is an elemental fae, undead, or whatever. It's a bit like Niztul's magic aura, which Lady Briarwood had in a necklace, I believe. And that hid her vampiric nature from everybody else. They're like, is she a vampire? And they're like, use your detect good and evil. She's fine. She's normal. And they're like, we don't trust this. What's going on? It's a clever DM's trick to hide evil people amongst the players.
It's interesting though, because I'm actually reading Divine Sense now, because I didn't actually read. I was reading the Hallow spell, but it does say within the same. This is now getting into nitty gritty D&D rules, but it says within the same radius, you also detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated, as with the Hallow spell.
That's
doesn't
what I thought it was.
say like is affected by the Hallow spell. It's specifically the consecration desecration rules of the Hallow spell. Unless it means that the traveler, maybe he can't be on this plane because he has been affected by the Hallow spell previously.
I want it to be out again, but I don't know whether that gave us more information or not.
Yeah, I mean, it says first, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead can't enter the area, nor can such creatures charm, frighten, or possess creatures. Ford may have been concerned that Jester was being possessed or frightened. She's in a cult, after all. Any creature charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed. So, yeah, it's I don't know. We don't have enough answers, but it's an intriguing link. Little bit of the bridge has been put in place, and we can finally begin to see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Matt. Give us.
Just give us the reveal. Give us the reveal. We're all waiting for it.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say. I don't know whether I should say it later if I can find it. No, it's just I can't remember who made it, but somebody made a comic of Jester and the Traveler talking to her and being like, you're gonna be a warlock, and then it turns out that she's a cleric, and the Traveler's like, I'm not ready for this, apparently I'm a god now, what is happening? And it was just like pure, I'll look it up. Everyone talking, I'll look it up.
It's a really good comic,
I should say who that was.
But no, that was great, because I love when the nitty-gritty parts of like actual D&D come into the play of it. So it's like, oh yes, I get to like really look at the wording and things like that. And I know they often do rule of cool over rules as written, which is great, that's fine. But I'm also very much like, I love rules. I'm gonna read them.
Did any of you pick up on when that was going down, that scene, you could actually see Travis looking at his character sheet and going, and you can see the thought processing happening. It also happened with Jester later on when she knocked over her iPad at one point, and I was like, what is she looking at? And she was reading one of those little magic cards that they have, and he's like, oh, she's found something, which of course we know she like would come to.
No, it was such a good scene. I love like the setting up for the commune spell, the little statues, and the visual of like the rain stopping because he was protecting her with the cloak. Something I did read, which again leads to the Artigan theory. I don't have the person who said it, but I think a few people have said it at this point. When he's showing the direction of where the hag is, he licks his finger and holds it up to like feel the air. And everyone's saying that's exactly what Garmelie used to do to find directions. Like he would do like a very, I'm like, ooh, exciting.
That's interesting.
I mean, it's a very common thing to do to feel the wind, but
yeah, he did. He did. I think you're right. He did do that, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw a few people comment that line. I feel bad. I should really have more.
All good. All good.
Yeah.
But we also finally had combat.
Yes.
In this episode, it's been a very long time since we've had any kind of combat.
What Liam was saying how they're rolling like for the skill checks.
Yeah.
And they rolled low, and they're like, no good. It's like, no, we want low. We want to fight monsters.
Right.
It's like, I get that.
Yeah. But they almost circumvented that fight with the harpies. Liam just rolled poorly on his persuasion roll when he gave him the food.
That's almost more impressive than the dealings with the hag. Like dealing with harpies, it's pretty impressive because they're just going to take what they want, really. But they were visually so exciting. Were they gore feather? Is that what they were called?
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Yeah,
the gore feather harpies. Like, I love that idea of they're not the basic kind of coastal harpies. They're actual, like, almost polluted by the region themselves and just wicked. Like
the description of them dripping off the feathers.
So
I was like secretly hoping like I hope that stuff is super flammable. Like Caleb just like lights them up. But
I thought it was going to be Kiri or a Kenku. Oh wow, it's a Kenku.
Oh yeah,
dripping thing.
Oh no, it's specifically Kiri. She's like, I murder people. Like. No, that was a really fun fight.
It crossed my mind too that it could be that. Yeah, when it was fluffy, I was like, Kiri.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness it wasn't out. Oh man.
Yeah, that would have been hurtful. But no, it was a good fight. I liked just because it's been so long since they've had any form of combat. Like even I think the most recent combat before that was the pit fight, so that was kind of low stakes combat.
Oh yeah.
Except for the Yasha, that was a bit more role play intensive.
Mm.
So the combat really before that would have been the fight with Obama the Punished, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is-
true.
That was before Christmas.
Yeah, which,
But that was
yeah,
two-
which is a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
2
and that
episodes
was
back to back of combat though, so
yeah.
by then they'd had enough.
Yeah.
So it was really fun just to have a proper fight. I loved Bo just breaking the spine of one of them.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's always
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, gotta
Drunk
love
knot.
monks. Oh yeah, and drunk not tripping to get the how do you want to do
Yeah.
this on the matron.
Very
Iconic.
fun.
But it feels like it feels like super OP to have 2 clerics when they can just both drop their spirit guardians and just like
Yeah.
fully case the joint with just
Mm.
AoE damage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it also makes combat difficult for Matt for when he wants to make combats more deadly. It's kind of hard to do that when you have 2 clerics. So I'm interested to see how he's going to handle like boss fights or fights that are meant to be deadly. Because early on in the campaign, there were fights where the party was not meant to win. Like they just need to run, they just need to survive, they just need to get out. Like especially with the dragon fight.
The dragon, yeah.
They just needed to get out of there.
I think they're lucky then in the sense that they have Caduceus, who is a more traditional cleric, and then Jester,
Mhm.
who's like the battle cleric.
Yeah.
So she'll heal if she needs to, but I think her kind of philosophy is more, I'll bring you up than heal you. Or like,
Mhm.
I'll revive you rather than heal.
Yeah.
And she prefers to do more damage and more
Mhm.
kind of like AoE, or not AoE, but more like offensive spells
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But yeah, it does actually.
Mhm.
It's more peace of mind, I think, to have 2 clerics both with like Revivify. It's always
Yeah.
nice.
A
Yeah.
grave cleric though that can just
Oh.
flick his fingers and go, "Oh yeah, natural 20." No, that doesn't happen. I
Oh,
know
Yeah,
from
that's-
personal
that's
experience.
That's
huge.
2 natural 20s was
That's
pretty
painful.
impressive.
It's rare enough as a GM. You're like, yes, natural 20. This is going to be a really good damage roll, right? Where's all my
Yeah.
dice? Oh, you just okay, fine.
Yep. No
Yeah.
fun.
You'll go. Carry on.
Yeah.
And it kind of almost happened with Matt's 2 natural 20s because he got the natural 20,
Mhm.
and I think it was the Armor of Agathis, like,
Yeah,
killed the thing
killed
before
it
he
up,
could use the
killed
second
it.
attack.
Mhm.
It's like, oh,
Mhm.
well. You still roll 2 20s. That's
Yeah.
That was cool. Ford just stood there and there's just ice coming off, and you
Yep.
can be
Yeah.
dead, and you can be dead.
Yeah.
Next, come on, hit me.
Yeah. But you know what? Matt got his critical hit fix when he did almost 100 damage to Ford in that one swing during the fighting pits.
Yeah.
so good.
93
was,
points of damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
love
that
That
character.
is paladins, man. Oof.
Just fried him on
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah. Jeez. But yeah, I mentioned before we started streaming how Matt likes to make traveling interesting and actually means something when they're moving through these deadly lands and stuff. So I like the idea of like skill challenges that like challenge the people to think of something creative.
Yeah.
Emphasis on creative
But, yeah.
to get
super
through the
pleased-
swamp. As
Super pleased he let them pick whatever skill they wanted.
yep, any skill and
Any skill.
you
We
know,
got it. Gonna
and Travis
see you
took
make
that
it.
literally and decided to deceive his way through the swamp.
He
That
did
was
say like he
Incredible.
did say that the difficulty would be harder if
Oh
like,
yeah.
the stranger the check they chose, but I think it stops. It's a really good idea because it stops. I know in playing D&D, if you're traveling for a long time, if one person is particularly good at survival or nature or whatever the DM like is using for the
Mhm.
travel skill, they are the one that's always rolling and always
Mhm.
heading. And
No.
and
I agree.
if you've got like a number of rolls to make over huge travel, like Tomb of Annihilation, you're like battling through the jungle or whatever. That's a really good way of mixing that up and having everybody getting a chance to,
Yeah.
to contribute something.
Yeah, because it can get a bit boring if it's just survivor roll,
Mhm.
survivor roll. Oh, you failed one, you got a bit lost for a while. Oh, now you're back on track.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he let them do whatever they wanted, like Caduceus' animal handling check was really creative
Oh, yeah.
too. I thought,
Mhm.
like trying to let the horses guide the way a bit,
Mhm.
but oh man, they're deceiving the swamp. I'd love to know the DC.
So
for that.
good.
I'm thinking like 30 at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be almost impossible.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
Um,
it makes sense because, you know, if you're disguising yourself as this disgusting undead hag, creatures of the forest are probably gonna stay away and just let you go along your path. So I can understand, you know, Travis's thought process on it. Just the role wasn't in his favor, I guess.
Yeah.
Lovely idea.
I was super surprised at the use of a random rolling table. I like besides so I'm like a self-taught DM. Besides online like Critical Role and other podcasts, I haven't really seen other people play, so I can only go from like my own experience, and that sort of made my game really random in that the things that were happening didn't have much to do with the story, so it messed it up. But the fact that he did that made me go, okay, maybe there is merit in a like roll on a random table.
I think it'd be interesting. I'd love to see the table he had for that, because it seems like all the things that did happen were very thematic for the region. So
Yeah, for sure.
like I think it's random to an extent, because all of them were like either swamp based or like the acid devices. Like it's all that kind of dark landscape. Like so if he rolled and it's like, oh, you know, like a storm giant came out and attacked you, it'd be a bit random, like as per the table's name. But I think maybe he would have what's the word? He would have just like designed it to maybe suit the region, which I think is the way to go. Like, but like you said, it kind of keeps it interesting, and it. He probably just had 1 or 2 battle maps ready to go for whatever region they were in, and then just threw it down. I don't think he had that many like harpy minis in that one. He was actually using like angels and rocks and things like that. But you know, I really like using tables for travel, just because it's fun for me then as the DM, because it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I know what's on the table, so I know what could possibly happen, but it's a bit of a surprise for me as well. And then I get to like improv a way to work it naturally into the story.
Yeah, we had a wild magic sorcerer. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it. I think that's the key part. Making sure it weaves in.
Yeah.
We had a wild magic sorcerer when you have the wild magic table where you roll a D100 and random things can happen. I think it's a 37 if you get a fireball is centered on you. But we found a much more expansive table where you roll a D20, then you roll a D100 and you follow it down, and then there's more instructions for the GM, and it's fantastic. There's like time delayed effect to it, and trying to keep track of it all is impossible. I would never be able to come up with these inspirational moments if it wasn't for a table telling me what to do. It provides tools for you to use with the players. It's interesting how it can work sometimes. The combinations that you can get are just very random, very off the wall. He's like, that's never going to work. Okay, fine, it's D&D. Let's go with it. Somebody had flying cows. I heard one, so yeah, why not?
Yeah. Gotta love wild magic sorcerers and just their absolute randomness. And then after all the travel, they finally reached the home of Isharnai, and it was giving me Yoda vibes, like as they were like traveling through this swamp, and the way he was describing it, and then like the way her house was, I was like, oh man, is like Yoda gonna be in there? Are we gonna see we're gonna have like a Star Wars moment? But I mean, the suspense was just very palpable as they were approaching this home, since this witch is such an important character for the for the overall story that we've had so far, or at least of recent times, and we have no idea really what to expect going into it. So what were your guys' thoughts as they were approaching this new scene?
It was a lot of no, let's go back. This is awful.
Yeah.
I think what makes it creepier with hindsight is the fact that she was there the whole time watching them from the outside.
Oh God,
like,
yeah.
When it was revealed, like he said, "Forward, you see the shape on the roof," and just is like, "Well, do I see it?" He's like, "No, you don't." It's like, "Oh God, she's invisible. Oh no. Oh God."
Oh god.
But just the description, like I love the description of the whole place, even before they got in, like the bramble around the outside, saying how
Mm-hmm.
thorns were sizes of like daggers and short swords. Like, that was
Mm-hmm.
such like
The
so,
hooks. He
yeah,
described the
Mhm.
hooks, and I was like, "Oh, that's ominous. Why have the hooks
yeah.
there? If you're going to
This
use
is
them as
just
some kind
very
of
much
weapon."
Oof, yeah.
yeah, let's not go here kind of
Mm.
vibe.
Mhm.
But the
Um,
entire, sorry to interrupt, the entire place was, it felt designed to scare Travis. As we all know, Travis is a real scaredy cat. But he seemed to be quite confident. He seemed to be kind of the one that was like, no, I shall not attack her. When he asked, like, what's her stance like? So I shall not attack, I shall talk. And even when he went in first and had the chat, I
Yeah.
thought he was going to be like, no, no, please let me out. This banging on the door kind of thing.
Yeah.
it was a
But
nice disconnect
he
between
wasn't.
Travis and Ford.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was very interesting. Sorry,
Yeah.
go back.
No, I agree. The entire interior, it's like it was like almost an evil version of Keanu the Keen's
Yeah.
like setup. Or
Mhm.
I say evil in the sense because it just had that real ominous feeling, but
Mhm.
very similar, like kind of cluttered but organized, cages and potions. I was interested in when Caduceus did the detect magic, and it said, "Oh, obviously the potions on the wall, you get a sense," but there were sensors up in the ceiling. Like, was that from the cages, or was that just in the rafters? I mean, I want to know what's in those cages. Like, what magical?
Oh, what if it was? What
things.
if he was detecting the Sharnai on the roof and the things she was
Ah,
wearing?
yeah,
would
that's
be-
really good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's like
I
the
lo-
objects from the deals. A bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
hands and cages.
Oh yeah. God.
I I thought that it was a really good example of those moments at a D&D table where the players watch the DM really, really carefully. For example,
Yes.
uh, they were like, okay, he said, okay, so Jester, and not Jester, Bo and Not are going inside. Are all the rest of you off? Like, are you away? And that's just such like,
Why?
that's the type of thing you accidentally say as a DM, and then somebody's like, why? Because, and then so then Ashley was like, no, I'm right there. And so there was, it sort of, those moments make everything feel like come down really small, where it feels like cast are just watching everything that Matt does to see if they can get any information of what might be about to happen, just from like the way he talks. And so I think he was really enjoying building up that really creepy scene, and they were really enjoying trying to parse out everything that he said to try and just get a tiny little clue as to what was about to happen next. And he was also giving really, really like huge DM like I don't know. It really felt like, do not fight this person. Like, it felt to me a lot like this. I don't know. I don't know what like challenge rating if they would be able to kill her or get her to the point where she just like runs away. But it did feel very much like, if you just try and attack this person, everybody might just die. Like,
Yeah. I was
She was
really
very old.
surprised too.
Yeah.
I was really surprised too. They mentioned it when they were getting rid of the horses. Caleb said he didn't have teleportation circle prepared, which
It's
to
like,
me
what?
kind of
Why?
makes him think he was ready for a fight, because that's not something you can do quickly. So I imagine maybe he had more offensive spells prepared.
you could see him because he got out all his magic items out of his binder, and he had them all in front of him, like while before Jester even went in, or while Jester was in there. I can't remember now, but like he like was rereading his things and had them all out ready.
I think he was thinking of what he was going to offer. He got a chance to speak to the hag.
That's a good point too.
And then we didn't get it.
I know.
Caleb could have offered so much.
We didn't get him or Caduceus. And they were like, I would have loved to have heard what they would have said. Like,
I would have
both
just
would
like
have been great for different reasons.
I was wanting, because when I was watching the episode, I take notes when I was watching it, and when not Kiona, when Isharnai was saying, you can come in one at a time and we can discuss about what you want. I wrote down palm readings ? I was really hoping someone was just gonna be like, tell me my future, or like tell me something. I think it would have been interesting. I particularly wanted who's Alex Hogarth in chat was saying that he was interested in what Caleb and Caduceus would have offered or would have wanted. I was interested in Caleb because we obviously know he has huge ambitions of the things he wants to accomplish. So it would have been interesting if he had a more like, I say selfish loosely, moment with her where he asks her if it's possible to do the things he wants to do and what steps he would need to take and if she would be able to help him. So I think it would have been cool if Caleb had that moment, but we didn't get to see it.
Or on the opposite end of that, what he might have been prepared to give up to help not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why he wasn't maybe offering to go in like straight away, like other people going in first, because it's kind of that question of, well, what matters most to you? Like, would you be prepared to give up something major for not, or or make a selfish decision and take something for yourself? Crazy fan fiction theories in my head. It's like, what would he give up? What would he give up for not? And it's like that, like the ability to have those magics or things like
that's really the only thing I could think of, like giving up his spell books, giving up his desire to continue forward.
Book he has maybe like his plans, but we'll never know. And then Caduceus, though, what would Caduceus?
Well, we know he had his moment where he talked about fear, and he talked about not wanting to know if there are people and his family waiting for him down south, because he doesn't want the fear to stop him from going, or if there are people waiting for him, he doesn't want to think about that while the party is off doing other things.
Yes.
But then he had his moment where he asked the Wild Mother during his communion if there were people waiting for him, and she confirmed that there are. And then he immediately regretted saying that he was,
He got kind of a lukewarm response to that, wasn't it? It wasn't like
yeah. So it may not be his family that's waiting for him, but something is waiting there for him.
Yes.
So I feel like Caduceus wouldn't have asked for anything, but I do wonder what he would have offered up. Because Caduceus is kind of like a mysterious character in his own regard. We really don't know a lot about him as far as his past goes. We don't really know we know what he wants, but what he wants is really what the Wild Mother wants, I guess, because he's on this mission for the Wild Mother to restore his home. So it'd be interesting to see, like, once his mission is complete, what's going to be next for Caduceus.
But even like Yasha offering her book, like Yasha, like the more we go through, the more I'm like, we know nothing about. Like, even though we've played out some of Yasha's, like Ashley has had like this whole arc thing happen, we still don't really know like solid things, or there isn't like connections to solid like people, because Yasha has all of this like memory loss craziness. So even her offering her book was like, we already knew that as like a like we already knew that bit of information. But it is definitely something that I 100% am going to steal and use in my own game, the concept of a powerful being like living off others' misery and saying, I'll do something for you if you give me something that will lead to misery in your life. That's such an interesting role-playing mechanic, and it led to such incredible stuff happening at the table that it went straight into my like tools that I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna use that at some point.
Just quickly back to Cad, I've just seen Jace Drolly13 on the Twitch chat. They've just mentioned something that I was thinking too. Maybe the thing that Cad could give away is his chance to cure the Savalier Woods. or like he'd give up his quest with the Wild One, which is kind of like what you were saying. But it's hard to think, because if you think about Yasha offered up her flower book and she's like, no, that's not enough, and I feel like that would have been a very hard persuasion for that to have been enough, because it's kind of like she already has misery attached to that. That's kind of just like, it's obviously a sentimental object, but it is kind of just an object. So
I love the way Matt said that, though. And he said, like, you have a lot of scars. You're already got full of misery. It's like, I can't give you any more misery. You've already experienced it all. And she's like,
Yeah.
That's why I'm sad we didn't get the Caleb conversation. Because
I
like,
wasn't the same thing. Yeah. Okay, that's too much. Too much.
Should we talk about what the other people offered?
Can we now talk about Marisha almost scanlining out of the game?
Oh God, it was so heartbreaking.
We should just let viewers know as well. We do have spoilers for campaign 1.
Just all spoilers.
So all spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, she almost scanlined it.
Yeah, jeez.
100%.
Like
her face, she was ready. She was done.
I know.
She was there emotionally. She was just gonna go for it, and that was it. And then when it turned, I like, she stayed in character, but also I think as Marisha, she just couldn't believe that didn't play out. And then I saw on Twitter, she tweeted, like today I think, or like a number of hours afterwards, she tweeted, even after the cameras rolled, the cast said to me, we in no way were we going to let you do that.
No.
We weren't going to let you leave. Like, so they all knew, like they could all tell what was happening. They could all see what she was thinking. And they were all like, no, that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was terrified she was just going to bolt back into the house at some point and make the deal.
Yeah,
but I think
too.
Marisha was maybe waiting for everyone to have a chance to like have their story. And then obviously Jester.
Yeah, same.
I was just like, no, someone else go in quick before Marisha runs in, or Bo runs in. Both of them run in.
She almost, they try not to metagame so much. She almost entirely metagamed by, like, she's like, I'm just going to knock on the door. And Sam's like, you're not there. And they're like, no, she's only been in for a couple of minutes. And so she legitimately, I think, was like, I knock on the door. And they're like, that doesn't happen because you don't know that this is happening. And so it was like so freaking tense.
That's kind of how it felt. That's kind of how it felt for everyone that was going in, like with not talking about potentially sabotaging the negotiations, the peace negotiations. I was like, what? That is actually insane. But I touched on it a little bit in the Aftermath episode earlier, that it just shows that how desperate Not is to remove this curse. But it also could be Not thinking that the negotiations aren't going to work anyways, because she might be pretty skeptical about the Empire actually working with the Dynasty to come to some sort of resolution. So she might not even, care about sabotaging them, since in her mind it might already be, useless to try.
And I want to talk a bit more about Bose as well, but I think for Not, what I thought was, it was her just trying to think of what would be the most misery that could be caused, and it would obviously be like continuing the war. And I got a bit confused, and I actually went back and rewatched it. The whole idea of, well, the misery needs to be linked to someone. It can't just be overall misery. Like Ashana needs to actually be linked to it somehow, and that whole idea of all using the potion. That bit confused me a little bit, how that would work. And I think that might have been a bit of Matt thinking, well, how is this going to work? Like, if you
that was 100% just him riffing on the spot.
Like, this potion will make it work.
That's a crazy thing you just said. I'll let that happen. Here's how it will happen.
And because a lot of people, I was in the Reddit live chat watching that as I was watching the episode, and everyone's just saying, oh, Not's chaotic evil now. Like, that's the most evil thing you can do. And it's like, I'm also a type of person that I don't fully buy into the alignment charts. Like, it's a good guide, but you're not stuck to it, I don't feel.
Mm.
And so that whole idea of, well, no, she's generally more of a neutral character. Like, she cares about herself and the people around her, and everything else comes later, or she wants to protect and make sure everything's good for herself and good for people around her first. If that comes at the expense of others, so be it. But I don't see that one, because I don't see that one having gone through. Because as Not came out and was saying, like, they're like, what did you offer? And she was beating around the bush a lot. And they eventually got it out. She's like, well, I offered war. I could see them going like, well, no, that's not okay. That's not ready for you to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Well, that's how I felt. Like, it was a very selfish thing to offer. I don't think it makes her evil. It makes her selfish, which we've always kind of known about Not. But she's also, we can't really know because she's in that position. She's the one with the curse. She's the one that wants to get back to her family. She's going to do whatever it takes, really, and it's just kind of crazy to offer war.
Why do you think Matt didn't make them all leave? When they were all in there, like, so, like, when each of them was in the hut by themselves, and none of them could hear. Like, none of the characters could hear. What do you think made him make the decision? Because it was like, because that whole thing could have potentially played out, like, potentially differently if.
I get the impression it's a fairly big room, and the logistics of them all leaving the room is significant. It's not just like the little bubble that we see. There's like a studio around it with all sorts of production.
And he may not have just thought of it at the time. That would have been really interesting.
But I feel like he also expected that they were all going to want to have a one-on-one with the Sharnai, and he might have thought that it would be kind of a hassle to have everyone leave and then come back in over and over again for everyone's chance with her.
That's probably why.
I think they need to have a whisper cam. The few times when you actually hear Matt whisper and you're like, oh, this is amazing, we actually get to hear the whisper. That's like, they need a whisper microphone and a whisper cam so we can actually see the lips moving and hear it. It would be so awesome to be able to hear those things. I mean, like, watching the looks on the faces and when they're kind of going.
Yeah.
And they're writing stuff down. It's just like, what did he say? What did he say? And everybody else is doing the same. Going, what? And they're like, and they all look at Matt as.
I agree. I think it's just logistically moving everyone would have been too difficult. It would have been cool for roleplay purposes, but then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm glad they didn't because they would have missed out on Jester.
Yeah. True.
But before we talk about Jester, can we talk a bit more about Bo?
Yeah. There's definitely a few things that I want to.
Because that was intense. Like, obviously we've spoken about the role play and like how she was acting after and everything, but the things in character that she was actually offering, pretty intense. The idea that she was going to just give it all up, everything she worked for, her blood family, her found family, and her position. I was wondering what you guys think about that. Obviously, that would cause exponential misery. But it's sad to think that she feels as though this is the best it's going to get for her. She was saying that, like I could never top this, or something along those lines. And I'm just wondering what you guys think about that concept, that very strong sense of self-loathing that Bo is now. It's becoming more apparent that she does have this sense of self-loathing. Maybe dissimilar to Caleb's, but feels almost as strong to some extent. Like, she low self-confidence, high self-loathing. What do you guys think?
Like we said at the start, she's like it was very starkly shown in that moment that she's not okay. She's like, whatever, I'll just. Well, no, it's not that she was flippant, but the fact that that's what she offered was basically like her sacrificing herself. But it didn't feel like it wasn't in a sort of, I'll go down in a blaze of glory kind of sacrifice yourself way. It was I'm not worth as much as they are. They're better than, like you were saying, that self-loathing. They're better. She didn't say these things, but it felt like they're better than me. They're worth more than me. Not's happiness is worth more than my happiness. Take this. take everything from me, whatever, like just do it. And it was so heartbreaking to see that, and I'm really looking forward to the character debrief of that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who they have on tour this week. I really hope Marisha's there. I wish they would sometimes do 3 people. Because I want Matt, Marisha, and Laura. But the no, it's just that idea that she would just walk away, and because we were kind of joking, like, oh, she's Scanlan it, like doing a Scanlan. I feel like when Scanlan left, it was very much because his character had to go at that point. He'd been through too much, and he had to actually leave. But this, it was definitely more of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It was say she was going to trade all her happiness for not and for her new family. And it feels almost too much. It felt like the Hag was getting the better end of the deal on that one. Like, her giving up everything didn't feel like an equal exchange.
Yeah, I mean, it's game changing. It's game ending for her. It's like, okay, I will stop playing the game. You're like, what? That's just ridiculous. I thought it was bonkers. I thought it was a really ridiculous trade. I just like, that's not going to work. She's not going to accept it. Even if she does accept it, you're out of the game. You're making your character. Where's the logic?
We were literally watching an almost character death. Because if she had walked away, that would have been it. That would have been the last time we would have seen Bo.
I don't know. I think Matt would have dragged her back somehow, but it would have been a character for Marisha.
But it was very much I was not shouting at the screen. I'm not that. I sometimes shout at the screen, but it was very much like, no, don't do that. Like, someone else go in and talk to her. And then we got Nod, and it's like, no, don't do that either.
Yeah, no. Send someone else. Send someone else.
The Reddit chat was just like, just kill her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a really strong character choice for Marisha, and to me, it made sense. I agree with both of you that like the Hag was getting the better end of that deal, but I felt like for her character, she's like, that self-loathing, that, well, this would be a good way to give back to these people who have to Not and to this general family that have done so much for me. This is just what I'll do. And it was heartbreaking, but I could see why she was making that choice, and it it would have made to be very dramatic watching.
And I feel like Matt as well was a bit like, oh, holy shit, that's huge. Because he was then saying, like, well, think about it if you're not too sure.
Yeah.
Take a bit of time, see what other people might have to offer. Back off a bit. Not speaking for Matt, but that's the kind of sense I got of that's big. Actually have a long thing about it. And I'm sure Marisha would have probably had that in mind already, but well, then maybe not, because it was very interesting when the Hag's saying, she's saying, I don't take pre-existing misery, I need something to be given to me. And she's like, you can see Marisha saying, well, what do I not want to give? And I think straight away she's like, oh, my family and my position. So maybe it was a spur of the moment decision.
Not entirely thought through.
I was like, thank you, Matt. Send her back out of the house.
Next.
And then we get Not. More.
Can I ask a question? It's a bit unrelated. I've noticed on a few episodes that Laura stops Sam from eating food. Is Sam on a diet? What's going on there? Where he starts going,
I think
bonkers.
the first one was she just bumped his hand. Because I saw a gift set of that. Yeah, that was a great moment. He was like, he had a cookie in her hand, and she just bumped him, and he dropped it. And then every subsequent time of him trying to eat it, she was like knocking it out of his hand.
Yeah,
they are chaotic together, sitting next to each other.
Yeah,
I saw someone made I think someone made a supercut, or it might have been a gift set of just every time they've been mucking around. And it happened again this episode with Travis saying what are you two talking about? Or what are you two doing? He's like, we are listening to Matt. It's so good.
But I also love the gift sets of Marisha invading the personal space of Liam when she gets into her super role play. Those are also super hilarious.
I've got a few more videos of that coming up.
It's so good. But
can we talk about Jester now?
Let's talk about
Yeah,
Jester.
yeah. Let's talk about that
Blow out the mics.
huge bomb.
Yeah, just
I was
I'm sorry, guys. I will just say it's lunchtime here, so don't hope you don't mind if I just eat this blueberry cupcake.
no,
No.
you are
looks
you're all
delicious.
good.
Go for it.
We'll talk about it.
Oh, perfect,
It's
perfect.
really delicious. I don't know
Very,
why. It's really good.
yeah. But
Sorry.
honestly, I was after what happened with Jester and Ludinus, how Matt even said that even Jester is able to throw off this extremely powerful wizard. I was like, okay, we know that Jester is a super chaotic, just full of chaotic energy. We don't know what's gonna happen when she enters a room, and so I was just like, okay, here comes the good stuff. Here's what we've been waiting for. But I didn't know what to expect with her going in there. Yeah, because before she was joking about offering up her hand. She sort of just said, "Oh, I could cut off my hand and lose my artistic ability."
Yeah.
But then she, thought about it, and was like, maybe I can do something with this. But going into that, I had no idea what she was going to do, and even leading up to it, oh my God, she was so clever, in that moment. Laura had to have been thinking about that long before she went into that room.
She was. You could see it happening. Like when she found the card, she actually went through a moment in her mind of like, hang on, I've got something somewhere that gives you disadvantage on wisdom checks. Where is it? And she knocked over an iPad, and then she found one of the little cards, and she was like, oh, da, da, da. So you could see the plan formulating in her mind. But she also went through a similar to Scanlan's Vecna counterspell.
Yeah.
She had to maintain that level of deception for Matt and for the other players around her so that she could pull it off. So yeah, hats off to it. It was an incredible performance.
Watch that scene and you think, oh, it's just Laura being Jester, like coming like, hi, like, super friendly and super charming and disarming, but it's all playing into that whole role, as you say, of, getting Matt to not suspect anything. It's just, it's just Jester being Jester. Oh no, it's Jester being a goddamn like MVP, destroying the world kind of
Jeez.
thing.
Yeah. And
I forgot when she got that too.
Modified memory. Yeah, I couldn't remember where it was. At the bakery, wasn't it?
It was Pumat Salts.
It might have.
Pumas.
It was she tossed up. I went back and rewatched the scene, but she tossed up on buying for a while because it was quite expensive, and she's like, yeah, no, this will come in handy, sort of thing. And yeah, it did.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
I was like, because I enjoyed. I did enjoy the cast freaking out of her, like pretty much offering up her hands. And they're like, no, what are you doing? And I did like that. Felt like an even trade on that one. I thought, that makes a lot of sense. And a small part of me was actually very excited to see how would that work, her being like a handless cleric. I like the comment of, is it going to be like Doctor Strange? Like, will I still be able to cast spells? Because I have seen them talk about that a few times on social media of physical disabilities in D&D and how that plays out. So like being mute, how would you do spells? Can sign language work for your verbal component? So I was kind of excited. I was like, oh, that's going to be really interesting if she does actually lose her hands. How will that work for that character? That's going to be a whole new arc of her developing even further. And then she's like, no, let's just have a blueberry cupcake and
and even in that conversation, like, she was pushing the like, oh no, it's going to be so bad, I'm going to miss my hands. And Matt, because Matt's always switched on, was like, because I was sort of like thinking there are probably Critical Role fans that don't have at least one hand, like that's a thing. So there are people out there, and so Matt, I could see him thinking, and he said, individuals make do all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, okay, Matt, you saved it. Yeah, shoot, like you could potentially be all right, like that,
I think that was Matt too, saying like it's okay, we'll figure something out, like it will work. It's not like you're completely exiling a character and they're going to be essentially dead.
For example, but then
just
it was
the way she was role playing and just saying like, can I just have one last thing to eat, and look, this is me using my fingers. And I love Travis's reaction. He's just going like, no, like what are you doing? Like don't do it. And I was a bit like, at that stage I was like, this is excellent, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
But I was just like, no, think about it, because I want to see what Caduceus and Caleb's going to say.
Mhm.
But it obviously worked out so well.
Yeah.
Just the way she slowly reveals everything, like that had the dust of deliciousness on it.
Yeah. I was like,
All right,
okay.
remind me what that is again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Disadvantage on
And
wisdom
she's-
saves.
Yeah, I thought it was just a
Okay.
joke, because she's like, it makes everything really tasty. I'm like, oh, that's cute. She's like,
Yeah.
and disadvantage on wisdom saves. I'm like,
like,
oh
oh,
shit, what is she
what-
doing?
Mhm.
Yeah. What is she
Yeah, and like,
cooking
I'm
up?
gonna cast modify memory. It's
Yeah,
like,
hats off to her.
Oh man.
no.
But it
Modified
makes
memory is so tricky though. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. You've got to phrase
Mhm.
it just right, and you could see Matt contemplating and kind of like, okay, so she knows this, and you've implanted that memory,
Yeah.
but she's also got the memories from what else has happened that day, and her other friends have been coming in asking to trade, and now she doesn't need to.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's going to work it out. She's definitely
Yeah.
going to be a long
Mhm.
returning.
Yeah.
Ah,
She was saying,
remember
like,
me?
It's
Yeah.
been really weird, and like I made a joke on Twitter. It was like, when she does actually restore her memory, she's like, you know, that's actually pretty impressive. Like, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And I hope
Mhm.
that's how it goes. It's not. She's going to be super evil
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But
Tell you what,
I
Phil,
find-
I think Travis said we really rakshased that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
for
immediately
real.
like,
yeah.
yeah, that's coming
yeah,
back.
yeah, that's coming back, which is exciting too, because I've seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh, we're like building up towards the end of the campaign." It's like, no, you've just created a
But
new
here's
arc.
yeah,
Like,
here's something. What if we're gonna have a dual boss battle where in one episode Isharnai comes back and also Geladon the Nightmare in
Yep.
Ivory, the white dragon that's gonna be hunting them
happening at
down at some
TravelCon.
point. Yeah.
yeah.
They are just making enemies all over the
I
place.
made a list. It's like
That's the
with
white
this
dragon
stuff-
where they sneaked into his
Yeah.
cave.
Yep.
I'm not sure he'll turn up again, but yeah, might be
Well,
interesting.
he said like he made a whole big deal of, I have your scent now. Like I
Yeah.
will find you.
Yeah,
Whether or not
dragons
he
always
does,
say that.
but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I made a list of everyone that pissed off, and it's the Koa,
Wow.
the White
Yeah.
Dragon, the
Mhm.
Hag, and then I had a few people say, well, they pissed off a rock, the Tumble Calves,
True.
Yeah, the
the
Rock.
Flame King, kind of, Deshilla,
Yeah.
probably not going to come back, Toya,
Yeah.
she did say she was going to kill Bo.
Which one? Wait, which one was Toya?
She's the dwarf child from the very beginning of the campaign.
Oh yeah.
She said she was going to make Bo pay, and of course the chair.
Oh yeah, of course.
But
The big bad. Yeah.
I just thought that was a really fun list of everything that's going to come back and hold
Mhm.
them. But holy crap, Jester. Amazing.
Oh man.
I love at
MVP.
the end. She's like, all right, bye.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
It's fine,
gotta
you're
go
fine.
out.
You still have hands. I do. Let's go.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're walking. Come on.
We are
Yeah.
going out.
Moving.
Just quickly, too, talking about dragons, I saw a really interesting post. I saw a few people saying, like, ooh, Isharnai is almost an anagram of Raishon. And I was like,
Mm.
that's a bit... I don't know if I fully buy into that. Someone made a comparison between the area around the hut with a black dragon's lair.
Yes,
that was
I
really
picked up on that.
Interesting.
Pools of black bubbling, and I was like,
Yeah, and, like,
that's a lair
acids
action
and
waiting to
fog.
happen.
And
Mhm.
the specific magic resistance, but
But I don't
yeah,
think.
I don't think everything's a dragon.
Yeah, I don't think she would be because then wouldn't
Yeah.
she have legendary resistance and she could have re-rolled, or no, she could have just auto succeeded
Yeah,
on the saving
that
throw.
can be tricky, and I think that depends on the DM though, of whether or not
okay.
they know it's happening. I think with modified memory, you
Gotcha.
don't know what's happening.
Gotcha.
But again, yeah, I don't think she's a dragon. I think it'd just be really cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But
But
It's
do you
like
guys?
any cool NPC, they're
Yeah.
a dragon.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Yusa
I
is a
do.
dragon?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
There are many suggestions that he is, yes. I've yet to see any enough corroborating evidence for me to go, yeah, that's going to come. That's definitely coming. Whereas, like Artigan, I'm convinced now that he is Artigan. The timeline matches up. What he offered, the deal he made with Vox Machina, the dreams that Justice had, everything. It's like, just tell us,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's-
But off of dragons, Matt's kind of hinted that Halas is this archmage that has performed this time travel-esque spell. He hasn't like confirmed it. It's just been this like archmage that Caleb has researched. And it's like, oh, maybe it was Halas, since he's this all-powerful, mysterious...
You're talking about the when Essex said there's been 2 cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that in recent... Didn't he say they were in recent memory? Or was that one was in recent memory?
Maybe it was just one that was in recent memory. And then one of them was a while ago.
Yeah, he said that mage was never seen again, like the first one. So yeah, that does... Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of screwed that up a bit. I don't think Halas
yeah,
many times.
And Yusa, because they burned the body or got rid of the body, but Yusa still has like the ruby, right? Yeah.
Does Yusa still have the happy fun ball as well?
Yes, and he also does have...
Would not have left him with that.
And he also does have Willy, the golem that the party made. Yeah. Man, I was really hoping they were going to take him with.
Yeah, give me another Doty.
Another Doty, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That would have been great.
Another thing... Oh, sorry, Shirley.
No, I was just going to say, back to Jester, does anyone remember if there's been a longer period of time of Matt consulting rules? Because that felt like, to me, having watched both campaigns, that felt like the longest period of time of him, there are a lot of things to consider. I'm not saying it's crazy that it took him so long, but it felt like a really long time, because normally it gets to a point and he goes whatever, house rule, it's this. But he was like check, and then he had he said afterwards that he had it was disadvantage but advantage, so it was a straight roll, and he was tossing everything up. And then even after that, then when the memories then when it actually happened, and then you're what you were saying, Phil, he was trying to work out exactly what she'd said and how that would take effect, and there was just so much time, and it was amazing. You could definitely see, I think the cast said afterwards, you could see him go from this is a boss battle, there's about to be a fight, there was a map underneath there was a hidden map, and it was all building up, and also he put so much effort into it building up to be scary, and then she just came and undercut it. But I don't mean that in the way where some people say that is a disrespectful thing to do. Just in character, exactly what completely made sense, and it was just another way of him being an amazing DM, where he didn't there wasn't even a moment. You could see him processing it, but there wasn't a moment where he was angry. He was frustrated and confused, and then just I think he even said, just really proud.
It's like Travis picked up on it. He says I was watching your face and the whole transition of emotions, and he's like, okay, so I rolled advantage, but wait, no, he's got advantage on that, so it's just a straight roll, but I rolled a 2. Just I've been there.
I feel like there has been, I can remember at least one other time where he had a long look at rules, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. You're going to make me think about that now, though. But yeah, it's like you said, he did say at the end, I've never been more frustrated as a DM, but more, as proud at the same time.
He had one of those moments. He had one of those moments in the first, in your video with
Vecna's counterspell.
Oh yeah.
It's that's at the end of that scene. He says it's I've never been so frustrated but so proud.
Yeah.
So those moments where your players make you play D&D, you're not just going along making it up, looking at a stat block, looking at this and that, but those moments where they make you have to play D&D, you have to look up rules, and you have to be what is happening with this character? What's actually happening? And then it's so good.
I love players that do that feed you information for you to regurgitate and give back to them in some form. I mean, Sam was great at it when he was looking for spice, and he's like, you there, boy, come over here. And Matt's like, oh, suddenly I've got to find an NPC and make somebody on the spur of the moment. I mean, Kishore, when they're wandering through the remnants of Iman before the dragon fight, and he's like, hey, where are you from? I was like, hey, Kishore. Just a moment of spontaneity, and everybody's going what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
Liam does that a lot, but he always calls
Yeah.
out like, "Hey, old person," or
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
grandfather,"
hey, old man,
just to
yeah.
get Matt to do like an old person's voice.
Yeah. That's so good.
No. One last thing that I wanted to talk about, because we still don't know. What was the favor that the goblins did for Ishana that she couldn't do herself?
Yeah. What could
I'm
it
not sure if
possibly
we'll
be?
ever get that answer.
No.
Because I don't think they're ever going to go back to those goblins now. Like, I think that might
True.
be over.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so interested in what could she not physically do or
Mm-hmm.
do within her abilities that the goblin could.
It must have meant like killing a large body of people.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Maybe.
Village of some
Maybe
kind.
they killed Scanlan's mum.
Oh. Maybe.
Ooh, too soon.
That clan.
Too soon. Like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
Yeah, because it's interesting because we know how we know how powerful Isharna is and how long she's lived, so it would have to be something substantial for her to then owe them something as equally important.
I love that though. I'm always looking for, like I mentioned last week, the link between campaign 1 and campaign 2. But Matt often delivers new NPCs, and you're like, "Oh, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be? Are you going to know something? Who's on the council of the Saldori?" And he says like, "Oh yeah, they're 100 years old," and you're like, "Oh, so they've been existing on the planet all the time that Vox Machina did, but they didn't encounter them. Wow, this world's massive and diverse and rich and full of like all of these little separate stories. Like when somebody went to the library and says, I'm going to search for evil things that have happened, and he's like, yeah, you find it. You find lots of it. There's been this and that and that and that, and then they're like, okay, I'm obviously need to narrow my search a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a wonderful presentation of such a diverse world. I can be prone to kind of linking all of my NPCs together, so they kind of go, you're in the same family as this NPC. We know that NPC. You're bad as well, aren't you? And it tends to be a bit contrived sometimes as a result, and it's like I have to think a lot more deviously and wrap characters round storylines that are not relevant to the one that we're in. And Matt's a genius at doing that. I know he hears us say this all the time, but all GMs can learn so much from. Oh dear, I've just had a YouTube comment. Hello, golden boy.
I think it's also fair. I think it's also fairer to people who haven't watched the first campaign. Like, I would be happy to sit and watch them just come across everybody and every old place and just everything. But I think it's so much fairer to people who haven't. Not because of spoilers, but because you don't want people to just be like completely lost. And so it's so exciting. It also makes it so much more exciting because it's just like little crumbs. But it's just it's nice that he's not. And you know, he's a character that you really need to have watched campaign 1 to actually like really understand what's happening here.
I do appreciate that they don't give into fan service that much, because as fans, like you say, we are trying to make, like, a lot of times we're like, we want connections. Someone's just mentioned Whitestone, like when they brought up the Residuum the first time, like, oh, let's go to Whitestone. But it as you say, would cheapen it or make it more contrived if everything was connected. So I think having like this one major connection, this is our target, we can agree, like having that one major connection is the connection, and the little bits with Allura is a big connection as well.
I thought that was handled pretty well though, because it made sense for the story that she would be friends with Yusa.
Who are you gonna call?
It is still their game. They do it for what makes sense for their game. I do sometimes get a little worried with in canon live show episodes where they can sometimes play it up a bit for the crowd. Like I remember like the season 1 or campaign
Love
1
potion.
episode. The love potion, but that was fine because that was kind of like no major. I felt like that wasn't a big deal. That was more just fun. But there was I think it's the Hats and Hereditary where they met up with Vex and Vax's father. That was like that wasn't too bad. It was fine, but I have very minor concerns, and I trust them completely. But it's more just as a fan of them doing Travelercon at a live show, because it's been built up so much, and it's like and also it's that little bit of jealous that I can't go. because it's in the
Yeah.
other side of the world. But
I was thinking that when they announced the Chicago one. I was, Chicago. Okay, I've been there. Could I get there again? I'm sure I could. Have I got the money? No, I haven't. I haven't got the time. No, can't be
I
done.
was so disappointed when they said they weren't having a Gen Con show because I'm actually traveling to the States this year, and I'm going to go to Gen Con, and they're like, oh, no live show. I'm like, I might still go to Gen Con, but it won't be the same.
So do you all think that the TravelerCon will be at Chicago?
I think so.
I think there's a very good chance.
Yeah, it's like
Really
we were
well.
saying before the stream, it would be that or maybe like the negotiations.
Yeah.
TravelerCon is a lot more suited
Yeah.
to the live show.
But hang on, Nico, you're going there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's on the Thursday night?
Yeah.
Yes.
So are we
It's-
doing this on the following Friday? Will you be back home?
Yeah. 'Cause I,
Okay.
I live like 40 minutes from Chicago.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Rude,
Yeah.
Nico.
Yeah. So.
Rude.
Brag
Don't
about
say
it.
stuff like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to the live show that Thursday night. I'll be back Friday to have this, and then I'm going to the convention on Saturday that next day. So I'm gonna have like
Okay.
a weekend filled with
Yeah.
Critical Role.
Awesome.
It's gonna be fun.
So yeah, super excited for that.
Nice.
But going back to the callbacks from campaign 1, my favorite one still so far of this campaign was Pumat Sol reading Tyrion Darrington's
Yeah.
book.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
so good.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god.
awesome link.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah,
so
that
many
was
more
definitely
though.
the best one so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need to know who's on the Tal'Dorei Council.
I know.
Yeah.
Once we
Yeah.
have that information,
tell us.
I'll be
Just see
sad.
that
I'll be
newsletter.
happy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm,
Put it up on the bulletin board. We'll
mm.
be good. But I guess to wrap up, what do you guys? We're kind of left at an open-ended ending, so to speak. So what do you guys think the party's going to be doing next? Obviously, the curse might be broken now, so they might be able to try that spell
That's-
once again.
I was wondering if they were going to pop back to
Mm-hmm.
Rosanna and try the spell again.
Mm-hmm.
Because time-wise, they've only spent really like 2, 3, maybe 4 days since they first tried the spell the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they've lost a lot of time in this travel. They could go back there, do the spell with Essek, and then just travel down south to Clay's thing, and then
Yeah.
do all of that. But I'm not sure if she, like having this time now might have made her reconsider doing it straight away. But from a viewer, I'm just like, I want to know if the curse has actually been broken, which I think it has been because she mentioned she did the spell, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what's going to happen when the hag gets her memories back. If she's going to re-curse her, can she do that from a distance?
Yeah.
Is she just going to be tracking them down? But I'd like to see them try to do the spell again, or to at least confirm that the curse is gone.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, deal with Caduceus and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Someone talk to Bo. Someone needs to talk to Bo.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, what are they
True.
going to do about Bo? They've had these
Yeah.
two stories intertwining, and they've resolved one of them, not the other, and they've kind of forgotten it about almost. So it's like they need to address that, otherwise that's going to really implode.
Oof.
I wonder if there's going to be any fallout for Bo's family from the hag. Like, if they leave and go off to the other side of the continent, and the hag.
Well, yeah, if
realizes
the
what's
hag
been
works it
done.
out,
Oh,
yeah.
no. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got a very direct link, very close
Oh
by.
god.
Yeah.
People that have.
You smell familiar.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Sorry, Nico.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't even think of that. Now, oh
Sure.
no. All right, they
She's
need
a
to kill her.
hag.
They need to kill her. They gotta go
They
back.
do.
They gotta
They
go
do.
back.
I want to see a hag fight.
Oh no.
The hag has a very specific set of skills. I'm sure she will look for them, she will find them, and she will
She's
hurt them.
she's got a band of goblins on call.
True.
Or Jester will send
Ooh,
her,
uh-oh.
or Jester will send her more cupcakes, and they'll like have
It'll
a
be
very,
fine.
very powerful ally. And
It's
then
fine.
you know,
Friends forever.
They've
yeah,
got
she'll be
Essek.
fight a god with her later. Yeah.
You just get Essek to drift up and just like, yes, goblins.
Yeah. Yeah. They will hopefully they would respect Essek.
Yeah, and get a few of those Echo Knights from the Drow army.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
these guys will
Mm-hmm.
sort you out, goblins.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame we didn't get to see Caleb's Echo Knight do anything. Like, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
cool that he got to use
Mm.
it. And again, I think that lends into the idea if he was prepared for a fight. But soon.
I love the idea of dunamancy and the way Matt
Yeah.
explains it. It's like
Yeah.
it's not a new school of magic. It covers. It's an
yeah.
umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wonderful interpretation of D&D.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I don't know what's gonna happen next episode, but I finally worked out like the emotion that I have leading up to an episode of Critical Role is as if there's a new episode of Firefly. Like, no, I swear, I worked it out. It's like, it's so good that I can't believe there's another episode I get to see. I'm like, just so excited that the story is continuing. There's another episode, and I'm like, wow, there's more of this. It's something that's so good. It doesn't feel like there should be allowed to be more of it. And then there's another one. Yeah. And so I'm so, I don't know what's going to happen, but every week I'm just like, it's another episode of Firefly. It's another thing that I didn't know.
Makes me so sad. I miss Firefly so much.
I'm sorry. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah, me too. But does it? I get the same feeling, and I often get it in the opening title sequence, and I kind of feel like the chills, and you're like, oh, this is what I love. It's happening. It's happening again, and so many other people are watching it at the same time. That combined experience thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get that from the music they play during the gallery, the art reel.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like it's got so much nostalgia behind it now.
Yeah.
It
helps you remember what they've been through.
Like we're getting into it, and then when you hear the music fade down, you're like, But I have a very chaotic when I start watching Critical Role on Fridays because it starts at 2 p.m. here.
Mm-hmm.
I finish work at 2:05, and so I'm running through the school playground as kids are leaving.
Move!
Get out of my way! And then I put it on my Bluetooth in my car. Like I don't have the video, just the audio. I'm a safe driver, but I'm listening to it as I'm driving home and driving through the bush, and it's like cutting out. It's like, no, what do they say? What do they say?
Yeah.
Me too. It's cutting in and out and in and out.
Every week, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it live. I'll wait for VOD. It's fine. Oh no, I'm gonna watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It invokes such a powerful feeling just watching it, because we all feel like the emotional connection that these characters go through, like the love and support that we see in the community, the love and support that the cast shows each other. It just
it's the most wonderful thing.
It's absolutely amazing, and it is one of the more appealing things about the Critical community as a whole. It's just so great.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a fire mere kilometers away from me right now, and as there was yesterday when the show was on, and so I'm toggling between watching the Fire app and watching Critical Role, and just to have something like just so positive, like the show, but also for the most part the community and the cast and just everything, just to have just such a powerfully positive thing to be able to connect with is just like, I don't know, it's precious. It's great.
It's profound. It's wonderful. I'm starting to really enjoy getting to know you guys and talking with you every Friday and understanding your perspective of it, because I mean, I've got my own ideas, but then you guys say things and I'm like, shit, I've been wrong for so long. Okay, I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to agree with them. Yes, good plan. Well done, Kieran. Good thinking. Yes, I like that. So it's an enlightening journey for all of us. I'm sure hopefully even some random people across the internet might enjoy watching us rabbit on as well.
Yeah, which is why I'm super excited to go to the con, because now I get to meet more critters, out in the wild. I've yet to encounter a critter, like if I'm going to like Walmart or just like the gas station or something. I've yet to encounter another critter, so it'll be nice to see them all.
I saw someone in a hobby store once that had a strong draw ale, and I was just like,
nice. Yeah.
Hi.
And they're like, hey.
A girl on the bus. I was watching Critical Role on my phone. It was one of my own videos. I don't know why I rewatched my own videos. I've watched them not enough.
I rewatch my own videos.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get sentimental. And you're like,
I'm
gonna go back and rewatch that. Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, bad edit that. And this girl walked past us and she went, "Oh, do you watch Critical Role? It's good. That you're a bit old for Critical Role, aren't you?" And I was like, and she just walked off. And I was like, "But you're a critic. Come back, talk to me." No, all right, fine, never mind. Carry on.
Yeah.
So I get that. It's fun. It's the beard.
You're fine. You're good.
It's a pretty glorious beard.
It's great.
It's coming
It's good
along.
we get to, it's good we get to actually see you this week, Phil.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank Amazon.
Yeah.
Managed to deliver my webcam in time.
Praise, yeah. But if you guys don't have any other closing thoughts,
Good.
but that was awesome.
Is it Thursday yet?
Is it Friday yet?
Yeah, is it please?
Yeah. Is it the weekend?
I feel like after, because I love these like heavy role play, like super emotional, intense episodes, but I feel like we've had so many back to back. I'm okay with a nice filler, casual episode, but I feel like with everything that's happening in the story, I feel like we won't have one of those for a while. Maybe this next episode would be a good time to have sort of like a filler episode, but even then, if they're going to be working on restoring Knott's true form, that's going to have its own like emotional baggage to it. So
I think it might be another travel kind of episode where they're deciding where to go, what they're doing next. Hopefully more random encounter tables.
All they have to do is sleep, and then Caleb can use the teleport spell to get them anywhere they want.
Yeah,
true.
One night.
That's true.
Or they can sleep, and we can have some conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Love those nighttime conversations.
It's like you guys fall asleep. Oh, just quickly.
I'm like yes, please.
How long did the journey take? Through the swamp and all of that? They didn't sleep, did they? In this episode?
No.
I don't think they
it was
did
like a
sleep.
full day.
They talked
they left
about
pretty
it.
early, and then they got there at like dusk.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we've still got
horses. I think
Travelcon.
I said it was a day and a half for her dad. With like on foot.
Yeah.
What did he say? TravelerCon's 3 weeks away?
I think it was 5 weeks for TravelerCon, 4 weeks for the negotiations, I think.
Yeah. But that was like 4 days ago.
Yeah. So it's probably shifted over a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I guess
my only last thought would be that if you, I rewatched Marisha's Between the Sheets this week as well, and
that was very powerful.
Like, yeah, it's really really incredible, and just because like, I don't know, she's received a lot of crap online for a lot of things, and does whenever her storyline comes to the forefront, so does like a bunch of just crap. So like if you haven't watched that, I don't know, probably you guys have, but generally if people haven't watched that, it's a really really good one to watch, and it was really interesting to rewatch it this week, and then also to have it be very emotional for her this week.
Yeah, very good Between the Sheets episode. Definitely suggest watching it.
All Work No Play Tuesday. We've got to see it.
Yeah,
we'll have to discuss that. We'll discuss that next week.
Yeah. Once that's out, oh man, I can't wait for all their shenanigans once again.
They're definitely going to ride horses. Hey, that's a theme that they definitely did, because they keep talking about it, like, and figuring it out.
I thought I'd seen
that might have been like a Ren Fair reference, maybe, because they talk about Ren Fair a lot.
Oh yeah.
Something that happened at Ren Fair. But no, I'm excited for Forward.
Yeah.
I saw Sam's wearing a shirt in one of the videos. I'm hoping they make some merch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they gotta have merch for All Work No Play. It's season 2, gonna be huge. Yeah. But anyways, guys, with all of that being said, I guess we can go ahead and wrap up. You guys in the chats, you guys watching on YouTube, let us know your thoughts. Let us know all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions for that episode. What do you guys think the party is going to do next? And what do you think of the huge legendary bomb that Laura Bailey dropped in that episode? Let us know, and be sure to tune in again next week, 7 p.m. Pacific Friday, for episode 3 of the What the Sheep podcast. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.
See ya.
Bye.